How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Bitcoin update. As you can see, Bitcoin is still hovering around the same area. We're going to zoom in today to look at some key levels of short-term support in order to push price higher. Before we scale down to the lower time frames, already on the daily, you can see my 6 moving average on the daily time frame trying as hard as it possibly can to hold, trying to stop this correction from happening. So we've had now 4 or 5 days in a row maintaining this moving average. By doing so, it's meant to actually continue higher. So if I were to draw two lines, this one extending into the future, and you can see this, whether it's downward sloping, just like that, you can see we're coming into crossroads. A move is about to be forced because we're coming into the apex. Or you can just have a horizontal line like that. We're going to get a breakout before Wednesday, the 21st of May, whether that's a dump or a pump. I never like pumping on Fridays because usually they don't sustain as the stock market is shut and there's less volume. But of course, there have been few breakouts on Fridays that have sustained in the past. More times than not, since the beginning of the year, a Friday breakout did not actually sustain. But that was part of a downtrend. Now we're in an uptrend, so it could actually be different. I'll just keep an eye on that. I'd rather it break out in the new week. So if we were to scale in now to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the 100 EMA is catching up to the 100k level. So if the 6 moving average, going back to the daily now, was lost, look what's approaching the 100k level. It's the 20 moving average, the daily 20 moving average. And in order to keep this trend bullish, we want that daily 20 maintained. Otherwise, we'd see an even deeper correction down towards this 95k area. Again, that is totally avoidable. All Bitcoin needs to do is pump exactly from the 6 moving average. But already, I've set up and given few confirmations that this is the key level of support. So with this pump into 100 to 105k, 100 becomes support and 105 is resistance. So trapped in this 5k range, if we were to scale into the 1-hour time frame now and use my Fibonacci's, this is actually the level we need to see broken. So not only is the macro 886 104.6, but the micro 786 is also this level. So I've just created a further box between that wick and the macro 886, which also ties in with the micro. And once this is broken, we can see the targets of 107 all the way up until 113 as the next set of targets. This is interesting because I've brought to you guys' attention in my past Bitcoin update that the Bitcoin pound chart, I know some of you might not care about pounds because it's not your currency. Of course, I'm from the UK. But this is an interesting chart, regardless of whether you use pounds or not. It's interesting because it's saying there's enough space for another move up. And in my past video, I double checked what the conversion rate of 81 and 85,000 pounds is to dollars. And it's quite funny that 81,000 pounds is 107k. Keep that in mind. 107k dollars. And 85 is 113,000 US dollars. So before going back to the Bitcoin USD chart, we can see that we haven't been hovering around resistance like the USD chart. This is actually hovering around support, and it's holding this exact level. Previously, if we go to the 2-day time frame as well, you can see there's a lot of support here. It was then lost and retested as resistance. There was support here once in the past as well. I've only marked out this box and I haven't drawn a support like this. I'm only using the Fibonacci levels in this case because these are key levels of resistances that need clearing. And also on the 2-day time frame, we can see the 6 moving average also being held. So this is confirming, as you can see, this yellow one. If it comes down into support, what happens? We get continuation, especially if we get these bullish candlestick patterns like this one and this one, which is what we're seeing right now on the 76,000 pound level. So it's calling for a further move up. This is the final resistance before these expected future targets of 100,000 pounds. Now going back to the USD chart, scaling into the daily time frame. Let me just get rid of this quickly. Oh no, let me scale into the 1 hour, we need to keep that micro fib. It's interesting because we saw that the pound chart needs a further pump. There's more than enough room for that. And it's interesting because those two targets are the minimal and the maximum target out of the micro fibs, 107 to 113. That's £81,000 and that's £85,000. So that's actually calling for a new all-time high, as you can see. But what if after meeting these targets, we see a little dump back down into the current area, but to test it as support, just like that, for continuation? Maybe something like this is going to develop throughout the next days and weeks. So stick around here on the channel as this develops. Keep in mind that these targets are not yet valid until the 886 is broken. We are waiting for 104.6k and 105.7k to break. But a very good first step would be a daily candle close against above the macro 886 fib, 104.6k. On that break, I have expectations set between 107 and 113 before a pullback. I would love that pullback to maintain this area because it's by breaking it that these become valid. So if I ever want to see them, this area must hold as support. So that is what's going on. That's why it's slowed down a little bit this past week. It's the ultimate key level because by breaking out of this level, not only are we targeting these higher price targets, these new all-time highs, it's invalidating a move that possibly is still on the cards. Now, of course, the probabilities become less and less the higher that we come up, but they are still there while under the 886. And the moment that breaks, forget about this case. There's no chances of that happening unless a case like this happens when we fall back under, confirm it as resistance, start heading back down. So once we break out of this 886 level, we need to make sure that it stays as support. And I'll be here to update, making sure that I see the correct signs, the optimal conditions to trade in. If you want more exclusive content, check out the Discord community. With every new member, I'm giving a free one-to-one 30-minute mentorship or Q&A call with myself to help you understand the strategy or answer any questions of yours. I do have other things in place. If you want to check out my ebook, the links are in the description of this video update. Otherwise, please bump up the algorithm. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It is really appreciated, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Have a good weekend.